is a place not found in noise, not sustained by routine, a place where prayer stops being something you say and becomes who you are. A place where words lose their structure, take on spirit rising as incense to a holy God, feeling unseen balls in heaven, not because they are many, but because they are true. And so heaven does not measure prayer by volume or vocabulary, but by fire, by weight, and by surrender. And so a man kneels not out of discipline, but out of desperation, because something within him has finally collapsed every illusion of strength and every quiet confidence in self, because he remembers deep in his spirit that without him I am nothing. And in that place, he does not perform, he does not polish sentences, he does not rehearse spirituality, because he has learned that God is never moved by many words. So when he opens his mouth, what comes out from him is not impressive, it's breaking, it's groaning too deep for words. It's silence that trembles with surrender. It's a cry that does not echo in the room but resounds in eternity. And then the Spirit prays, interceding beyond language, setting the depth within him, aligning what is broken with that which is in heaven. Because what God answers is not always what the lips produce, but what the heart releases when it stands naked before truth. And there, something begins to happen. Not around him first, but within him. His desires begin to die. He's not suddenly, but slowly and painfully, like something being pulled out from its roots. Ambitions loses control, weakens pride, suffocates until his will begins to bend. Not my will, but thy will be done. Not as a phrase, but as surrender that costs everything. Because real prayer is not asking God to align with you, it is dying until you are aligned with him. And so he stays. He stays when it is uncomfortable. He stays when it is quiet. He stays when it feels like nothing is happening, because he now learns that silence is not absence, that time waiting is never waiting, that they that wait upon the Lord are not they are being renewed, and beneath what he can see there is movement, wrestling in unseen realms, resistance pushing back, answers pressing through darkness, because this is not just prayer, this is war, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, and not every delay means no. So he presses not casually but relentlessly, like a man that asks and keeps asking, seeks and keeps seeking, knocks and keeps knocking until the door fills it, because faith does not withdraw itself when it is tested, it persists. And as he remains, something deepens. Prayer stops being an activity and becomes a habitation, where his thoughts begin to bow, his heart learns obedience, and his spirit becomes sensitive to a voice not heard with ears. And as he stays, he discovers something beautiful and terrifying at the same time, that God was never moved by perfection but by truth. To a cry, Lord, help me, when all strength is gone. To a whisper, cleanse me, when sin has been exposed. And to a surrender, I am yours, when there's nothing left to hold on to. And there something begins to change, not the situation always, but the man. Because the answer to prayer is not always deliverance, but grace that sustains you in the fire, not to escape, but strength being perfected in weakness, until all that remains is no longer you trying to reach God, but a life that fully abides in him. And there, without warning, without announcement, it begins to happen. Chains begin to loosen where hands could not touch. Doors open that efforts could not force, because atmosphere begin to shift, because something has finally aligned. And therefore he prays, not just to receive, because he has become a dwelling place and everything about him changes. His obedience speaks, his surrender echoes, his life carries weight until there's no longer a separation between prayer and the man. And in that union, he discovers something beautiful and eternal at the same time, that God was never looking for perfect